Breaking news tonight. Are phones affecting student literacy, and is texting as bad as we make it out to be? Texting has become a staple in today's communication. According to Pew Research Center, 97% of Americans own a cell phone of some kind. That number has risen 35% since 2011. Worldwide, there are over 3 billion smartphone users, and that number is set to rise in the future. With this increase in phone use, we set out to discover whether or not texting influences teen literacy. We spoke to English teacher Kathy Shaw to get her take on the situation.
Well, it's been interesting because with the flip phone at first, in writing and formal writing, we were having issues with abbreviations like cuz because they weren't as advanced. Now it seems more a challenge of phones putting in apostrophes and other correcting spelling, so that when a student is then challenged to write on their own, it's more difficult. There's also the benefit of how quickly students can get information from a phone. So that also can be a hindrance or benefit. For example, they can get information really quickly, but sometimes they're also too impatient when they're writing and they want things more quickly instead of really thinking through the issues in their writing.
Research on this topic has found conflicting results. Some say that the effect texting has on students' literacy is largely positive. They state that students who text often tend to have greater grammar skills and larger vocabularies. It has also been stated that texting can help students' reading skills. On the other hand, some sources have a more pessimistic outlook. They claim that the frequent grammatical errors, misspelled words, and abbreviations, and omitted punctuation all lead to poor literacy among students. One thing's for sure, cell phones have definitely changed our school's education in general. Up next, our students held a game show and a debate to figure out which is better, textbook or tablet. Textbook or tablet?
Bishop Luers Mass Media class presents textbooks versus tablets. Here are the rules. The two teams of textbooks versus tablets, four people in each team, and I'll ask a question. Both teams will have to find the answer, and once they have the answer, the team will ring the bell. The first team to ring the bell will be able to answer the question. If they get it wrong, the other team will get a chance to steal the point. Question 1. After U.S. President William McKinley was assassinated, who was the following president to take over? Team tablet?
Yeah.
Roosevelt, yeah.
Correct. 1 point, team tablet. Wait, what page? Can I ask what page you found that on?
Do I go to the bottom?
That's correct. Page 571 was where the answer was found. The score right now is 1-0 in favor of team tablet. Question number 2. What state was the first state to secede from the Union during the Civil War? Team textbook?
The answer is South Carolina on page 365.
Correct. Score is now tied 1-1. Question number 3. How long did the French and Indian War last? Team tablet?
7 years, and that is on page 101.
That's correct.
Awesome.
Score is now 2-1 for team tablet. Question number 4. When was the 13th Amendment passed? As of now, this could be anyone's game. Very close. Oh, team tablet.
1862.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Team textbook for the steal.
Okay.
Team textbook.
Would it be 1865?
That's correct. What page would that be?
402.
That is correct. Number 5. When did the Soviet Union dissolve? Team textbook.
Would the answer be 1993?
Very close, but incorrect. Team tablets for the steal. Team tablet.
1991.
That's correct. What page did you find that on?
I found it on page 853.
That's correct. The score is now 3-2 to Team Tablet, a very close game. Now, on to question number 6. When did the USA join World War I? Team textbook.
April 6th, 1917 on page 591.
That's correct. Score is now tied 3-3. Very close game. Question number 7. Who won the Battle of Stalingrad during World War II? Team Tablet.
Soviet Union.
That's correct. That's correct. What page would you find that on?
707.
Correct. Score is now 4-3. 2 questions left. Question number 8. When did U.S. President Richard Nixon resign? Team textbook.
August 8th, 1974, page 833.
Correct. All right. The score is now tied 4-4. This is the last question. This is for all the marbles. So we have a lot at stake right now. Question number 9. The Civil Rights Act ensured African Americans could vote without interference. What year was it passed? Team textbook.
1965.
What page would that be on?
788.
That's correct.
Love.
Team textbook wins. Final score 5-4. We created this game show to determine which was the more effective tool, textbooks or tablets. Beforehand, the consensus that was that tablets would be the more effective tool, but to the surprise of Josh and I, the textbook wound up winning after a close game.
Post-game, Eli and I asked participants about their thoughts on the matter. Unanimously, they all preferred physical textbooks, finding it easier to use. There was a strong dislike for tablets. E-textbooks were just clunky and slow, despite having numerous useful features such as a search bar. At the end of the day, physical textbooks came out on top.
Both textbooks and tablets have their pros and cons, their fans and enemies, and for now, it seems both have their place in education.
In order to get varying students' opinions, we gathered 8 students to have a spectrum conversation in order to decide whether textbooks or tablets are better for school. There are 2 sides, agree and disagree. Students can stand as far away or as close to the neutral line as they want depending on their opinion. They can strongly agree, strongly disagree, or stand somewhere in the middle on each topic. Then students share their opinion on why they stand where they stand.
Textbooks are just easier to understand and it's easier to have less problems. Because in a tablet, if your internet's not working, it can mess up the whole thing. If you don't save your data, it can mess up something. It really just, it's simpler and easier to use a textbook.
I mean, I agree with everything you said, but we're in a new era of technology now, and whether you're using an iPad, iPhone, I mean, a lot of schools have laptops and stuff now. It's just so much easier access to get into, and there's so much more supplements that go along with online textbooks.
Well, I personally feel using a textbook and writing down my notes is easier to do and learn and then study when it's time for a test.
I believe that online textbooks, you even have easy access to the internet. So you can also look up some things that aren't in the textbook, and then you don't even have to write down anything.
Because every day we go home, I guarantee most of us will just sit and watch TV for who knows how long. So I mean, just to add a little bit of time, during school to look at a tablet or screen doesn't really add on to anything.
I have glasses too that I wear contacts with, and I feel like if I'm on a tablet or computer too long, taking let's say a test, a standardized test or whatever, where I have to be on a screen for 2 to 3 hours, I start to get headaches and just tend to start getting distracted from the work itself. I feel like they are less convenient because it's, like Carson mentioned earlier, we are more likely to have a phone or a computer with us when we are traveling. So at any time, if anything happened, that I had my quote unquote textbook, since it's online. And with a paper textbook, if you needed notes or anything from that, you would have to have that with you.
You can Google stuff. It is more convenient to have a textbook online too, because right next to it you have the internet.
Textbooks, we only use them like if there's like not a guarantee with the internet or the computer.
Really, how many textbooks do we use? Like, I don't really use. I have 2 textbooks for classes, and we barely even use them because we're just looking on Canvas and stuff.
I think that I'm standing in the middle because, like, me personally, I use my computer, I open it up, and I also use a textbook and I open it up. I've used the textbook and a tablet at the same time. So I think that it really, I think it just depends on some teachers prefer to use textbooks all the time. Teachers prefer to use tablets all the time. So I think it really just depends on how you learn and what the teacher's rules are and just whatever works better for you.
I also find that it's easier access for the online textbook, so you can get to it faster rather than having to ask the teacher what page it's on and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely feel that, like I said, again, I like to have both of them mixed. I feel like we need to use a bit of both. It is definitely easier to just use the online because, you can type in a specific page and it'll take you right to that page.
But what if you also don't know the page that's on the ebook and you can't type in keywords or you can't do stuff? Then you'll still be in the same predicament as
Yeah,
that is
Well,
true.
and then sometimes you can't, I know from my history textbook, you can't access page numbers. So if you're looking for a specific page, you have to find the lesson, then find the page, and it's just a lot more difficult than it needs.
you need to try to find that middle ground. So I definitely feel I feel like it's when you're at school, it's good to maybe use the textbook.
It also depends what the school has. For instance, we all have personal computers now, so that's easier. But sometimes teachers don't have enough textbooks, and you can't bring it home.
Students had valuable arguments for either proving textbooks as better or tablets as better. In the end, the majority of the students agreed that it is best to have a mixture of textbooks and tablets in the classroom in order to have a positive experience.
So, the other day, I was sitting in the cafeteria. On the menu for the day, we had pizza, and not the soggy cafeteria pizza either, but real pizza from a real pizza place. But there was just one problem. The delivery guy was late. He was about an hour late, actually. So all of us who had a lunch had to wait around in the cafeteria for this pizza to get delivered. So, to get the cafeteria of hungry high schoolers to stay calm and distracted until the pizza came, our dean of students allowed us to use our phones. So of course, take out my phone, I scroll a little bit, I play a few games, I send a few texts. About a half hour goes by. And the dean of students, he comes back up to me and he says, "Look around. Look at all the people on their phones and try and tell me that cell phones aren't a drug." So I look up and I scan the lunchroom, table to table. There were about 100 or so students in the cafeteria that day, and I could count on one hand the amount of students who weren't using their phones. That's a problem. Replace those phones with drugs and that entire cafeteria of students would need rehab. According to a study by UCLA, excessive internet use has been classified as an internet addiction, an addiction which comes with just as many downsides as any other addiction. Internet addiction also shares many features with substance and gambling addictions. These features being mood swings, withdrawals, changes in tolerance and functional impairment. Not only that, but those who use phones are more likely to show signs of ADHD and other mental disorders, yet we keep using our phones. Using social media is actually linked to social isolation. Using Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat, all apps that are designed to link us with each other, actually impair and limit the quality of our relationship with others. Not only that, but increased screen time in children has also led to a decrease in cognitive and brain development. Young children who spend a significant amount of time behind a screen show significant decreases in language development and executive functioning. Yet, we keep using our phones. Not to mention the poor sleep quality and sleep habits caused by exposure to LED screens. Throughout every age range, increased screen use leads to poor sleep quality, increased nighttime awakenings, and shorter sleep duration. This is because the LED screens that are in our devices emit a wavelength of blue light that interferes with our natural circadian rhythms. This poor sleep quality leads to negative changes in the brain, one of those changes being an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. Yet, we keep using our phones. And that phone use isn't slowing down. Year after year, the percentage of those who use phones regularly has increased. More and more children are stuck with a phone or a tablet in front of them during some of their most important years of development. This is a problem. But it can't all be bad, right? Of course not, and it isn't all bad. Modern technology has done some great things. Phones are what connect us to each other. They let us talk to our loved ones who live miles and miles away. They let us keep in touch with friends who we haven't seen in a while. They let us stay up to date with what's happening around us in our communities. Not to mention the wealth of information available right at our fingertips. You want to know how far away Mars is? I'll look it up for you real quick. How far away is Mars? 202.82 million miles away. How about how long ago the dinosaurs lived? How long ago? Right here. 66 million years ago. It's all right there, just a few clicks away. Recently, the internet and cellular communication have allowed schools to stay open during a pandemic. They've allowed students to stay up to date with their schoolwork right from the comfort of their homes. Yes, cell phones, social media, and the internet can and have caused many, many problems. Yes, cell phone addiction is a legitimate problem that we need to address. However, phones aren't all that bad. They have the potential to do a lot of good. So rather than blaming all the problems on the phone itself, maybe we should rethink the way we interact with them. Thank you. What are phones doing to society? And how are social media affecting different generations?
Social media is a place for people to be creative and a good way to interact with others. In 2006, a social media network called MySpace became the most popular social network in the United States. MySpace had about 43.2 million users every month. Shortly after MySpace's popularity peaked, Facebook was invented. Facebook has over 500 million active users. MySpace and Facebook's success inspired the creation of so many more social media networks, and they only progressed from there. Younger generations tend to spend hours on social media networks like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
It's 5 hours and 3 minutes.
3.5 hours probably.
3 to 4 hours.
I want to say maybe 7 to maybe 8 hours a day, mostly.
Social media has had a huge impact on society today. It has caused distractions and has wasted days away. Falling down a rabbit hole on social media is more common than we think. You go to scroll on TikTok for a few minutes and the next thing you know, it's been 6 hours.
I think I would spend my time a lot differently and I don't know, I feel like I'd be more productive.
The addiction that is social media tends to influence teens and younger generations about what's trending and what's not.
It's like the society's impact can impact you just through your phone.
There's a lot of marketing, a lot of trends and what becomes popular, and a lot of what's sold and what music you listen to and what movies you watch have to do with what's on social media.
So social media seems like something we would usually link with younger generations. Older generations use social media networks as well.
I use it to stay in touch with family, but I try not to spend a lot of time on it.
So I use Facebook, I have a Snapchat account, an Instagram, and I used to have a Tumblr way back, but I don't really use that anymore. But yeah, I use it, and I'm probably on it for a good couple hours each night.
Social media has a lot of positives, but it also has a lot of negatives. Social media has put a lot of pressure on younger generations. A lot of kids feel the need to live up to high expectations of what the perfect life is supposed to look like. Social media has increased the risk of developing mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, loneliness, self-harm, body image issues, and even suicidal thoughts. This is a result of a combination of a high expectation and cyberbullying.
I think between bullying and just being a distraction and a spot where a lot of misinformation and borderline harassment in terms of the bullying happens, but I think that that's how it's affecting them. I think it's, the studies are coming out, and I mean, I'm sure we could Google it right now and find that there's a link, especially for young women, that when they're accessing social media at a consistent rate, that anxiety and depression rates are spiking, and some of the worst that we've ever seen. Now, if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, that's going to have an impact. And they say that comparison is the thief of joy. So I think that that's definitely having an impact on our younger generation of constantly comparing yourself to others. You're just going to feel like you're never enough.
From providing communication from all over the world to putting pressure on the young generation's backs, I think we can all agree that social media holds a high power in today's society.
How is frequent phone use affecting students and their school lives? More on this coming next. If you are a high school student, you most likely have a cell phone of some kind. 88% of teens 13 to 18 years old own a cell phone. We conducted a survey here to see how often students at our school use their phones. 69% of students said that they use their phones 1 to 3 hours a day. When students had to self-report their screen time, numbers ranged from less than an hour a day all the way up to 16 hours a day. Yet, the vast majority said that they didn't see their phones as a distraction. This excess phone use is changing the way students interact with the world and with each other. Cell phone use also plays a big role in the way students interact with schoolwork. When asked whether or not phones get in the way of her life, senior Allie Shiflett said this.
It keeps me very distracted, so it's harder for me to do my work. I don't do schoolwork as much as I should because I'm on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat.
Here's what senior Naylin Thompson had to say on the topic.
I try not to have it, be too much of a distraction, but it definitely can.
Excess phone use is getting in the way of students' schoolwork. It's making them less productive and easily distracted. But why do students use their phones anyway?
I like keeping in touch with people that go to different schools because I know them through sports and I don't see them as often.
Every day, talking to friends, weekends, you're making plans. I think it can be good and it can be also bad, like when it starts to becoming a distraction, when you have other responsibilities, but it is good because, you can connect with your friends.
All in all, students see phones as a benefit. They enjoy the fast communication and infinite entertainment possibilities that come along with phone and social media use. Students recognize the potential distractions and negative effects that come along with phones, but they aren't willing to sacrifice all the benefits of them to combat the drawbacks. The development of technology has changed the way we interact with the world around us. It has brought about many positive and negative changes both in and out of the classroom. As technology develops further, it is important that we grow along with it. From TBH, I'm Tom Schuler. Thanks for watching.